with the chopper on the shoulder strap.
What's good, everybody? What's good? It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford, or E.S. Red, if that's what you want to call me. And we are back for another one. Alright, y'all. New topic is hot. New topic. Real quick, new topic. Are Terence Crawford's pay-per-view numbers holding up the Errol Spence undisputed fight? Plus, Crawford drops the Arum lawsuit. Alright, y'all, so let's start with the Bob Arum lawsuit. Listen, I had told people months ago when Terence Crawford first announced he was suing Bob Arum that most likely the lawsuit wouldn't fly once it hit a courtroom. I didn't think any judge would accept an argument or a case that's based off of racism when the person running the company runs a multiple ethnic company. Like there are multiple ethnic groups within this company. Bob Arum has white, black, Hispanic, Arab, Filipino. He's ran the gamut. So to base a court case argument off of racism, trying to tie the racism into the fact that he didn't get a guaranteed Errol Spence Jr. fight, I thought that was doomed from the beginning. I thought it would fail from the beginning. And it seemed like now that Terence Crawford's kind of come to his senses and realizing his argument was based. He could have won the case about the Errol Spence Jr. fight not happening when Bob Arum promised it to him. I believe after the Benavidez fight or something like that. I can't remember exactly what fight it was. But after a specific fight, Bob Arum basically promised Terence Crawford that he would get a shot at Errol Spence Jr. and that did not happen. So he could have won that portion of the lawsuit, but since he tied it into this racism claim, he kind of shot himself in the foot. And not only was the racism thing, I think, a wrong move and a wrong argument to have in the court case, I told y'all as well that there might be things within that contract that keep Terence Crawford from actually fighting Errol Spence Jr. in the first place. So it might have been a problem for him to continue to try to carry out that lawsuit, and it was stopping him from fighting Errol Spence Jr. When you start tearing apart these contracts and lawyers getting back rooms, start digging into these contracts, there's no telling what they're going to find. So it's in your best bet. It's in your best interest, and I'm pretty sure Crawford's lawyers and Bob Arum's lawyers got together and they were discussing with each other what's in each other's best interest, and I'm pretty sure it was in Crawford's best interest to just drop the lawsuit. And I'm pretty sure Bob Arum's team probably found something in there like, hey, we can use this, and Arum's like, you know what, financially I don't want to deal with him anymore. If we could just dead it where it's at, I'm willing to end it. You know, tell him if he drops his portion, I'll drop my portion. That seems like that's the agreement that they came upon. And I think it's smart and it's perfect timing because fans really want to see this Spence Crawford fight, and to drag it out any longer would be like a slap in the face of fans. Alright, so are the pay-per-view numbers for Terence Crawford hurting the Errol Spence Jr. fight? And the short answer is yes. You know, because Terence Crawford doesn't have the greatest showings when he's placed on pay-per-view, I think that the people that are putting up the money for this fight want some type of guarantee that they're going to recoup their money. And I think since Terence Crawford is asking for upwards of $20 to $25 million, I'm sure, to make this fight, it's not in the investor's best interest to want to pay him that much. They've already, I'm pretty sure, had their team calculate what Terence Crawford's worth and what his pay-per-view numbers are worth up until this point, and they've come up with a number that they feel comfortable offering him, which I think is between 10 to 15 million. And it seems like Terence Crawford isn't happy taking that because of the risk involved in the fight. And he wants more around the 20 to 25 million just in case it's his cash out fight, what I believe. And I think because he doesn't have the history of hitting those 400,000 or 500,000 pay-per-view buys, that I don't think the investors are willing to sign off on him making a 20 to 25 million dollar payday off of the Errol Spence Jr undisputed fight. And the only way for Terence Crawford to raise that number would be for him to get into the ring with a superstar who commands those type of pay-per-view numbers, basically. And unfortunately for him, at this point, there are no more superstars left in the sport of boxing that he can actually do that off of. Now, Manny Pacquiao still out there. He's willing to negotiate with Crawford, but do we have another year? Are boxing fans willing to invest another year to a year and a half in Terence Crawford building his pay-per-view numbers up so that he can hit that 20 to 25 million dollar mark? Because I think if he didn't fight a Pacquiao or a Canelo or a Mayweather or somebody with a built-in name, even a Charlo, even if he fought Charlo's not doing numbers on pay-per-view that are any bigger than what Terence Crawford's is doing. So there's no way for him to increase his number based off a Charlo fight. I know he keeps bringing up that Charlo fight, and I do think the Charlo fight will bring him a nice bag of money, but does the Charlo fight do pay-per-view numbers? I don't think so. And I think he needs a Manny Pacquiao. That's the reason why I think I said in a few videos ago that him not taking that Pacquiao fight years ago is going to hurt his career. It could have possibly have ended his career if Bob Arum didn't have some other fight, or if Bob Arum didn't get that WBO belt back. If Manny Pacquiao was still the WBO champion, Terence Crawford would be unheard of right now. So, you know, it's crazy how things played out, and you can say what you want to say and think all the conspiracy theories that you want to think about Bob Arum. Now, there are shady things surrounding what happened to Manny Pacquiao and that WBO belt, but, you know, that's all in the past. How can Terence Crawford fix this now? Unless he was to take a year and a half, like I said, find him some better competition, you know, fight Boots, fight Thurman on pay-per-view. Those are two fights that they wouldn't immediately increase his pay-per-view numbers, but I think if he was to fight Boots, he would get a nice bump from the purist boxing fans and a portion of that Philly crowd. I think if he was to fight Thurman, he would get another bump because Thurman did fight Pacquiao. Thurman actually might be more famous than Terence Crawford. As far as fame goes and familiarity among boxing fans. So if he was to fight those two guys, I think he could bump his number up to the 400,000 buys and be matching what Errol Spence brings to the table as far as pay-per-view buys. He's still going to get a lower number because he's not matching the title belts that Errol Spence has, and it's impossible for him to match that now because Errol Spence has all the title belts. But I think he can bring his pay-per-view number up, and perhaps that would bring his worth up to maybe the $20 million mark. Once again, are boxing fans willing to invest another year to year and a half on Terence Bud Crawford and the Errol Spence Jr. fight? You know, that would be the determining factor. Listen, I think Terence Crawford's in a sticky situation, and it could end up bad for him if he doesn't make the right decision. If he decides not to fight Errol Spence now and then goes into another fight and winds up losing to a lesser opponent or to an up-and-coming fighter, you know, it's pretty much over. If he goes fights Charlo and loses, he may still be the WBO champion, but it's pretty much over because a lot of his appeal is based off his O. So, very sticky situation for him. Are his pay-per-view numbers hurting the Errol Spence Jr. fight? Yes, they are, to be blunt and plain about it. And he has very limited options of what he can do to actually fix that. Let me know what y'all think about that. Hit the like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Holler at me on all social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. But you're more than likely to get a response on the tubes. Or holler at me over there if you want a response. It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford, or E.S. Red, if that's what you want to call me. And we are out of here. Me and Papa out of here.
Hey, I got the clip with the curb on.